Alright, hello everyone and welcome to AEW Discussion. I'm your host and AEW enthusiast Dougie Doug, and today's episode I'm going to discuss Dynamite November 1st, 2023 edition. And this edition of Dynamite continued on the road to Full Gear, featuring Orange Cassidy defending the international title against Claudio Castagnoli, and then concluding with MJF finding himself 3 partners to team up against Bullet Club Gold. And with that, we'll go ahead and get right into the action, starting with the International Championship match, Orange Cassidy versus Claudio Castagnoli. Freshly Squeezed overcame an aggressive and physically dominant performance by Castagnoli, who overwhelmed the champion with his power advantage. As he has done so often, Cassidy proved his resiliency, absorbing everything thrown at him and countering an attempted pop-up uppercut with a head scissors takeover for the win. The loss does hurt Castagnoli, as he has lost more than he has won as of late and risked falling into the back despite being one of the best wrestlers on the roster. For Cassidy, continued to store resiliency and underrated toughness that has dominated his last year. A post-match beatdown by Jon Moxley and backstage challenge, all but confirmed the two will run their all-out main event back at Full Gear, and indeed they will. That match has been made official. Cassidy versus Moxley 2 for the international title at Full Gear. Adam Copeland promo. And this was a predictable segment that delivered the outcome most expected, with Copeland joining Allen and Sting for Full Gear and setting up a showdown between him and Cage. This was not necessarily a bad thing, the predictability, because it delivered a logical development and set up a big pay-per-view showdown. The match with the moving pieces involved and a crowd that will be red hot for Copeland, and Cage's long history writing its latest chapter is a worthy main event card. And also it's a preview of what Copeland versus Cage will look like. You know those two are going to collide in a singles match at some point. The question is when. AEW Women's Championship match, Carl Sheeta versus Will Nightingale. And Sheeta and Nightingale are great workers and delivered a fun match, but the outcome is never in question, and sometimes that's a problem. At some point, Will's going to need to win one of these title matches. Sure, the company can turn that into a storyline at some point, but it looks like the fan sentiment for that moment to happen is wearing off to an extent. The stuff with Toni Storm continues to be great, even in small doses. The post-match involving Nightingale, Blue, and Hart was equally as solid, as it gives the women's division a secondary program not revolving around a title. 8-man tag team match to close out the show, and an action-packed bout accumulated by hot tag MJF late, an energetic barrage by the world champion, and an emphatic Blade Runner and pinfall victory for White. The Acclaimed and Billy Gunn fended off Robinson and the Guns, leaving White to tease a title shot to the face on MJF. Instead, Max Caster would throw himself in harm's way and take the blow for MJF. White taking the pin as decisively as he did was a nice change of pace, as MJF does not lose often, so beating him means something. Switchblade probably won't win the world title at Full Gear, especially the revelation that World's End will take place in Long Island, but this goes a long way in building belief that White might actually win. The stuff with Caster proving himself to MJF, then the 4-way scissor at the end of the broadcast, was further evidence of the champion's growth and evolution. Since forming his friendship with Adam Cole, he is more willing to accept and let others in, something he would not have done 4 months ago. It is storytelling that hopefully has a payoff worthy of the months invested in it. So in conclusion, there's a lot to like about this show. The MJF stuff is great because he is, as a performer, great. Cassidy and Castagnoli had the night's best match at the top of the show, and the intensification of the rivalry between Page and Strickland made for quality TV. There was the introduction of more than one ongoing storyline in the women's division. We had a segment that seamlessly intertwined them. For all the good that there was, though, AEW seems to be straying further away from what the company was in the first place. The feel was off, the beating age of the stars, and the broadcast grows with every passing week, and it feels like more than ever, and it looks more than ever like there's no long-term creative direction. With the possible exception of the MJF stuff, perhaps the focus should be on that instead of important announcements that aren't really all that important. Like you could literally put out a post on X or a tweet on X about about being able to get exclusive access to all in tickets. As a whole, the show was good enough to earn a solid grade. Moving forward, though, Tony Khan and company might want to ask themselves what they want AEW to be in its current state, because at the moment it doesn't look like they know what the answer to that question would be. And with that, that will conclude this episode of AEW Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like button down below.